So we're off mute now.
Okay,
I have a phone.
okay. And this is all we're expecting. Okay. well,
Ginger should be arriving as well, if you want to wait a minute. for
Oh,
her.
okay, yes. Yeah, please.
Yeah. I do have a couple notes I could say before,
Okay.
just for everyone. I have a list of board members. The Commissioner's Office is asking for updated contact information for everyone.
Okay.
We filled in what we have, but mostly phone numbers, what I'm missing, so if you could please fill that out or correct or update if your address is not correct. There's plenty of lines on there to
Yeah.
add in, so I would appreciate that at some point before you leave. And then the other one is more casual conversation. John mentioned yesterday, not crazy about the 8:30 a.m. start time.
Oh, we're gonna bring that up.
I mentioned that. Oh, I was hoping we'd start at 7:30.
Can't change anything really this year. I mean, let's.
Depends on the time I get up.
But start thinking about it, maybe next year, before we pass the calendar of dates, we could change the date and time.
There's one other caveat to that is with our commissioner representative,
Yeah.
that it butts up to their 10 o'clock pretty close. So if we ever really have like a large discussion,
Mhm.
it makes it a tight time frame.
Yeah,
So
and just for them to prepare for the meeting is.
Could we change it to another day?
we could, we used to meet at 9, right? Or
Yes.
Yes.
8?
Yeah.
Nine.
We changed
Because I
it.
made it into the office today, but it was really for no purpose at
Yeah.
all.
Even just changing where it is in the month, because you and I both have plan commission meetings the night before.
Yeah,
so
that's true too. I was pretty,
It's never fun, like going, having a
Back to back, yeah. Okay.
12+ hour day and then coming in for an 8:30 meeting the next day. So,
Okay.
the other meetings usually aren't that long, but
I mean, I'd be excited to hear the discussion and I guess
yeah,
I don't
No,
know.
I'm certainly amenable to change it to, well, a Thursday then.
Thursday would be
Yeah,
good.
yeah. that's
yeah,
just-
Thursday.
Yeah.
Could do it like the last week of the month, then we don't conflict with the plan commission meetings and we could.
Sounds like a
Okay.
logical approach.
Just need phone numbers.
Just something I've been thinking about. I want to get it on your radar so that. A few months will go by and I'll be preparing the calendar for next year, so
Right,
be able to have that discussion again.
okay.
Cool. Great.
Well, thanks for bringing that up. It
Hey,
seems like we got
of course.
support.
Well, I feel it too at 8:30 in
Sorry.
the morning after a long day. It's
I put that in cell phone numbers, home phone number.
any phone number where you'd like me to reach you. Whatever your preferred is. Work or home, or
I put the same,
I won't bother you after hours.
same one down.
We do have an hour in this location. We moved the suite meeting, I want the other move.
Yeah.
For a quick second.
That's another thing, I might be moving the location of this meeting to the room down the hall where I would ask if. Anyway, we'll follow the conversation, hasn't happened yet, but I take the owl, if that would be,
Okay.
because there's no owl in 10
Oh, there is none?
100B, no,
Oh, okay, they set that up every time.
there's a
What about the
Or there's a
conference room
different-
upstairs? We use that for
211.
licensing board. It's got. Has all this.
211, it has a camera, it doesn't have as much seating,
Yeah, that's
it's smaller,
Here,
yeah, I don't know.
It's your call.
Yeah. Been thinking about using this room for another use, so.
Okay.
Want to wait another minute for Ginger or?
Yeah, certainly.
5 minutes?
Yeah.
Do we have a form, which is?
We do.
But the lower floor is safer for tornadoes. There you go.
Is that where I'd go?
Well, we were sitting almost in our fireplace the other night.
Oh,
Yeah. Because the tornado was coming through Martinsville.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
Oh,
You
yeah.
okay?
that's
Oh,
right.
yeah, well, we lost several trees, but no.
Okay.
tornado.
Okay,
Oh, good.
good.
Straight line.
Yeah. 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 Some interesting weather.
Yeah.
And this is a dermatology treatment here, so part of it looks a little angry. Angry.
Oh, that's, I think I made one.
Okay.
That's a big thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I just printed out the agenda and then the project
I like
description
the
pages.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
It's less than.
And then I have some 11 by 17 copies of one for each project so that we can reference if we need it.
I was gonna join virtually. If you want to promote me as a panelist, I'll help you monitor if there's anything going on.
Can I do that?
You've been promoted.
I've been promoted. That's the only promotion I get.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay.
When does Erica go on leave? Like, she sent a message and I can't,
And so in the next couple of weeks.
in the next couple weeks, yeah. Oh, that's exciting.
Mhm.
Well, that curve from Arlington Road to North Maple Grove, there's a ditch along the side that keeps flooding
Okay,
and leaves. That ditch needs to be increased in size.
Is that what makes that
Down to
Hunter
the
Valley
creek.
then?
What?
Oh, I just. Where we're talking about Arlington and Maple Grove,
Where-
that's right after the bridge where you go down at the. I
It's
think
before the bridge.
Well, which way are we traveling?
I'm traveling north,
Okay,
west on Arlington, northwest on Arlington, then turning north on North Maple Grove.
right,
That ditch right alongside there. Washes all sorts of stuff in it. And it needs to be increased in size to go clear down to the creek. This Stouts Creek,
okay.
that's been a problem.
Mhm.
One day,
I'm gonna. pull
just
some
up from
location.
there. The first field. Had washed out a whole mess of water right across the road.
Hmm.
Apparently the houses up from that field. Have drainage problems apparently, because it just washed water right across the road.
Which
Big-
subdivision is that?
Is it Stony Brook or is it what you're talking about?
I don't know what the name of it, but I only saw that once, where it really flooded down that across the field. But I expect it's with all these big storms that we're gonna get, we're gonna have some flooding there.
Just
Again.
that, what, 5-6 minutes of downpour the other day. I saw a lot of cooling of water, but they all drained pretty nicely. It was just a lot of rain in that like 5-10 minutes.
I think I had 3.7 inches the other day.
Okay,
Mhm.
yeah, geez.
Which
Yeah,
I
it's
think
all day though.
Bloomington had 4 inches, I think.
Mhm. Which subdivision were you talking about? I'm sorry, I pulled up the map.
It's just around the corner from. We go from Arlington Road on to North Maple Road.
Okay.
So there's north, yeah, that's it. And then if you go up, that's where that,
Got Maple Grove to this area.
That's where I live.
Okay.
he's talking about the intersection of Arlington,
Yeah.
right, right there.
Yeah,
And if you go up, that's that Hunter Valley Road that they're trying to do the extension on. Right, or if you zoom out, but if you go north, just right there where that segment is. I don't know if that's helpful or not to
It's,
put on the radar, but it looks like they're doing a road improvement project there in the near future.
um. Hunter Valley's down here.
Yeah, right there. And they're gonna do that little connection right there, but I think they're gonna like rebuild some of the road too to
Oh, yeah,
better
it's gonna
standards, and so that's just kind of a little bit of the road. I guess it's not so close.
Well, Ginger did text me and say she's on her way. I
Okay.
don't know if you want to continue reading.
She's
There
here.
she is.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. What no?
Yeah. Did I
Bring it up there.
Oh,
I actually drove my car and it's probably the third time this year I drove my vehicle into work.
something shut down the bypass.
Oh, no.
So they had a big detour by College Mall bypass.
Oh, my gosh.
Maybe I looked around.
Okay.
When did it go away?
I guess we can call the meeting to order. And
Actually, I think we're on here, so it's to look for updated information. And that's for Kelsey.
and go right into the approval of the minutes. I just had one small revision on January 4th. And what does the acronym CRS mean?
Community rating system.
Oh, okay. If that could be spelled out, that's, but that was it for me.
I found one, this is kind of weird, I just. Unless I didn't read it right, but in the paragraph A of 4A. In the Highland Village Church,
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth line down. Carrie Daly. Weren't fully satisfied with, was the outlet,
okay.
with the outlet, maybe.
Yep.
It's a minor, but very, very minor, but I read it a couple times to try.
I was just curious if Donna, Ms. Barbara could hear us if she wants, she could put a reaction of a thumbs up or something on there.
Don, did you catch those?
Yes,
the
I
minutes?
am here. Can you hear me?
Okay.
You came off mute, but we can't hear you. So if you can hear us, you might have your speaker set up.
Or nothing on our end if we can't hear.
I can hear you, Donna.
Okay, well,
TSD, would you mind trying to speak to see if we have our speaker set up?
I think the Drainage Board has their speakers
No,
on
we can't
mute.
hear you.
They can hear us.
So under the Zoom settings, you want to change it too.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Got it.
Donna,
Okay.
you're still off of mute. Can we hear you?
yes, I have been able to hear you, but I guess you couldn't hear me. Can you hear me now?
Oh, alright. I changed our speakers if someone wants to try talking, see if we can hear you.
Maybe you just one more time under the mute.
There's a
For
bunch
the
of
Zoom.
chats coming in, so you might wanna check for chats.
There's two different settings,
Okay, so everyone can hear her.
but we can't hear her. So under the Zoom here, it's right back. Speaker is set to the out. To the, oh, right here. There we go.
Okay, try again. Okay.
Can you hear this?
Hello. Hello?
Good morning.
Okay, great. Yes, I got the corrections. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna. Motion to approve our annual report. 2023 minutes. I'll second the motion. Do a roll call. Ginger. Abstain for Jim. Aye. And audio says aye and yay.
Also, names are present in person.
Oh, okay.
We don't need to roll call.
You don't. Okay.
The audio sounds a little odd now. Is the owl set as the microphone?
It should be.
We'll double check. Thanks for asking. It is. Well, there's two, one that say Al.
Is that better?
That's better.
Magic.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right, we'll move on to the February 1st minutes. Anybody have any corrections, revisions? I did not.
I didn't.
Okay, then,
Motion to approve our April, or I'm sorry, February 1st, 2023 drainage board meeting minutes.
and I second that motion, and, I'll still do a roll call. Go ahead, Ginger.
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Abstain. And audio, aye, yay. Okay,
Okay.
next, public input.
I don't have
Oh,
anything to
no. Maybe one thing, any luck coordinating with the MS4 coordinators, right now upstream of us?
I'm getting lunch with them tomorrow.
Okay, great. Yeah,
They haven't been attending our suite meeting too, so
Good.
they're actively engaging with the county as much as the county is actively engaging with the city, so it seems to be really a great pairing.
wonderful.
I'll keep you
Let us,
updated.
yes.
Thank you for asking.
All righty, move on to the first order of business, the Wiley Farm PUD. You want to take that over?
Yeah, so. It's the Wiley Farm PUD project. It's within the Fieldstone area. We have Dan Butler on Zoom representing the project. So this is an existing PUD. As it stands right now, they have the ability to develop this property as high density residential. It's located just south of Fieldstone Boulevard. And portion of the site drains downstream of the Fieldstone Regional Pond. And the eastern portion would drain through the Fieldstone PUD, Summerfield PUD behind the dam. So drainage is going to be a big topic for this development. They are coming to us to propose a few different things. The first thing is wanting to reroute the road network through the PUD because the original design was pretty crude. Didn't really take into account the steep slopes, sinkholes, and other environmental factors on the site. So they're going in and trying to design it how it should be to avoid more sensitive areas, calling out non-buildable areas with steep slopes. They performed a karst study and delineated sinkholes on site. So we have all of that outlined now, so they're proposing to redo the road network. The main thing I'm bringing to you today is what is going to the Plan Commission. They are proposing changing some of the uses on the site. So instead of all high density residential, they want a small portion, about 3.5 acres, to go into commercial for development of self-storage units. And the rest of it, kind of as a trade-off, would be medium density residential. So right now, we're just looking at the storage units and a road stub. And they have a layout here to propose what it would look like if it were to be medium density residential. At the request of the plan review committee, I've had discussions with the engineer on limits to the amount of impervious surface on this site. So I had, sorry, over here, so about 65% for the storage units. Let's scroll down to this. And then 40% for the remainder of the site, including the roads, which that 40% is in line with the numbers that Bloomington has for their medium density development. From what I could do on online research, that's I think pretty standard. But we have specific concerns about this area, of course, because it is in the Cave Creek watershed. So, today, I want to talk about what development of the site is going to look like, what the drainage design requirements are going to be. Any concerns we have, and I have a whole list of things, so. At this point, do you have any general questions for me, or do you want to hear from Daniel?
I would just like to provide some information that since we weren't able to meet due to lack of quorum last month. This continued to kind of move through its process, so it has already went to a preliminary hearing at the plan commission, so just wanted to kind of add that, so there are some other discussions, but. I was pretty outspoken about making sure it came back here to the drainage board, so just wanted to make sure that that was mentioned.
Thank you.
All right.
We're gonna pull it up on Elevate so that we get some better context for the location here. Okay, so this is the Cave Creek watershed. This project is located just east of the airport. So this is Kirby Road. This is Fieldstone Boulevard, and it's this parcel right here. It's all wooded right now. Part of it used to be farmland back in the day. So it's grown in. The sinkhole area is mostly to the south here. The drainage goes basically from south to north, so it's draining in this direction. This drains over through here. So that should just give you some more context. And then, of course, the Fieldstone facility is up here.
Leaving it wooded would absorb most of the water.
Yeah, I haven't,
That's the problem.
I haven't walked the site to see the quality of vegetation. But
Not very good.
I am looking at a requirement to replant trees. Anything that they have to remove to put in the detention ponds. I've asked for this before, 1-to-1 replanting ratio. I'm suggesting 2-to-1 for this one.
No Bradford pears.
And what?
No Bradford pears.
Oh, yeah, no one takes this. It would have to follow the planning department's landscaping
Right.
ordinance for species
There
requirements.
would be room to do that.
We'll
sort of
find out.
mitigation.
We'll find out. And they can be around the ponds, common areas, things like that. Previously, they were able to fit
It
them
looks
in
pretty tight there.
Oh,
around the
yeah,
ponds.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
Yeah, if I could say that, the storage units look like they're not going to impact the cars on site. But downstream, there still would be significant addition to the subsurface flow rate because this is a sinking stream.
yes.
So, we already stated that we don't want the increase in impervious. Is there a good reason to? Is there a good reason, I guess, to allow for the increase in impervious, or is there a good, secondary? I mean, does the storage take, place of that increase in impervious? What are they suggesting?
Mm.
I'm curious if we wanted to maybe hear from planning, because there's already a underlining approved development. Kind of site, with the PUD on this location that has a lot of density.
Yeah,
So. I
but
think-
that doesn't mean the drainage board needs to approve.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there's another moving part of it, of what they already
Yeah.
are allowed to do. And I think both of their proposals are reducing the
Mhm.
pervious surface, but
Yeah, I guess, I mean, I just want to get clarity before the consideration is
Yep.
how much of a concern is this watershed? Are we already having kind of problems with flooding? Are we already having issues with the capacity in this location?
Well,
Because I feel like that would determine whether we should recommend or not.
right, yeah,
this is,
Sure.
this is Cave Creek, this is why there's the dam,
yeah, there
the whole dam and all that.
It's a problem area, period.
are, yeah. So
That's
we,
what I was
So it
thinking.
goes to
That's-
someone's backyard.
yeah, we actually contracted out a detailed study with Mixed River Engineering in 2017. And I've actually had them look back at that study so that if you have questions for them, I can also refer you to their engineer who worked on that report. They came up with some release rates for sub watersheds based on just runoff. And it's very close to the critical drainage release rates, it's like almost exact. So that was what they calculated, what the stream could handle. Obviously, it's a sinking stream.
Yeah.
But
So based on that, it sounds like there's not a lot of room for additional impervious
No.
within this watershed.
no,
As a consideration.
one of the options that they gave us, well, they gave us a few options. One of them was to build like 2 more fieldstone type facilities, which that's not feasible because we have the airport and other land use restrictions. The other option would be to restrict development in the watershed. The other is to start pursuing property buyouts on Capewood Court. So, yeah, those are the
Mhm.
options.
And this PUD is part of the Fieldstone, the original Fieldstone PUD. That whole,
Yes,
if memory serves me, I mean, this goes way back.
Bertram,
Mhm.
yes,
It is.
okay.
Well, so to Ginger's question,
Mhm.
will they have on-site detention to take
Yes.
care of it? Okay.
Yes, they are proposing 2 ponds for the storage units and the road stub, each of them meeting critical drainage release rates. Or whatever other standards you want to hold them to.
Did that basin, when that was designed, did that take into consideration development of this
No,
portion?
I do not believe so from what I've researched.
Okay. I
This
just can't-
northern part of the site should be draining south or downstream of the dam. So.
I just didn't know if it was designed,
Mhm.
Well, there's 2
you know,
people,
with bypass designed to handle the development of all that. I just,
Mhm.
There's 2 concentrated development already in existence there. They got approved. Unfortunately.
I want to give time for planning as well as Daniel to speak, but I have one more comment on my mind before I forget, related to your question, Ginger. I've seen in some of the studies from hydrogeology recommending impervious liners in detention basins to reduce the amount of infiltration down to bedrock. We haven't implemented that, but would this be a time to maybe try that out to truly contain the surface runoff from the site
and not allow it to sink.
and not
into-
allow it to infiltrate?
Right,
but what are the soils clay? I mean, if you've got clay, you could essentially have an impervious layer.
Yeah.
So when Jason makes a comment like
Uh-huh.
that, is he talking with an understanding of what the underlying soils are? We
Mhm.
went through this on a different
Okay.
project.
Okay,
And the city of Bloomington, and of course, said, oh, you've got to line it. And I said, well, line, can't you use the clay? So
Right.
Patriot did a full analysis. And the
Okay.
clays that were there were adequate in that,
okay,
and the reef. So I just want to mention that I'm not,
yeah, no, that's
Persuading
the
anybody,
conversation I
but-
want to have, because I did talk to Kat about it.
Yeah.
A couple years ago.
with the design of these basins, will they be in contact with bedrock, or will there be?
I've seen
clay?
some that are right up against bedrock, they have to,
yeah, that can be an issue.
Then, okay,
Then
then
you can't have an underdrain or
yeah,
whatever
so
you-
we've designed them without underdrain, because it's right on the bedrock.
And if you have, altering water levels, right, if you're
Mhm.
filling and then it's evaporating out and then
Mhm.
filling again. Any areas on the banks that may have contact or near contact with bedrock,
Mhm.
any cracking in that clay can also not be a barrier and be
Mhm.
more of a direct conduit. I've seen that
Okay,
in a lot of stormwater ponds where it was designed and packed down to be impervious, but then with fluctuating water levels within the pond, creating cracking
And
situations.
desiccated the.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that something that you'd be able to see from the surface, or would it go unseen?
No, we would go unseen until you get a lot of residents complaining that their pond is sleeping. That's, and then you start investigating and find out that that's what's happened.
And what do they do with the liners? So if you bring your liner up the slope, how do you contain the soils that are on top of it?
Mhm.
Because they'll just slide in the bottom and take up the bottom.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Liners aren't
Liners.
necessarily the
that's why I want to.
solution either, yeah.
Cautious with,
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, those are some of the things I've thought about using
Yeah,
liners and I've noticed them in Florida, but I'm not quite sure how they're using them because a lot of in Florida with theirs, a lot of them are wet basins
mhm.
that take up additional flow in big rain events.
Mhm.
Yeah, is this intended to be dry detention or wet detention?
Dry.
Yeah, it's a good point about the clay because when it dries out, I mean, it's gonna hold some moisture, but it can dry out and crack.
These are, the soils are hydrologic soil group D, pretty much at the site, I believe. So fairly, small infiltration anyway.
Yeah, it's just a matter of whether there's any fractures in the bedrock directly below, and there's really no way to
Mhm.
determine that without excavating and then,
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay.
then you're compromising the system by excavating and, so.
This is
Quoted the bit line.
And yes, yeah, no, that's,
I know what that is like. I'm saying, look in Wyoming, bit line was all over this.
It can crack too, though.
Yeah.
It's dry and it cracks as well.
This is a really great conversation to have with you.
Okay.
Do you want to hand it over to Daniel or?
Yes.
Yeah, yes,
yeah,
please.
like,
Okay. Daniel Butler. Um. let's see if I can see.
What do we want to hear from planning first?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Daniel Brown and then.
Daniel Brown, sorry, Daniel Brown.
those Daniels.
Daniel Brown, would you be able to provide the drainage board with your take on the description of this project and what the plan commission would like to see from us?
Thank you. Yes, so this has been a project that's had a lot of work done on it. Currently, we're looking at recommending several different recommendations. Let's see.
I have it here if it's helpful. I got the plan commission. Yesterday, the recommendations, the staff is recommending forwarding a positive recommendation to the plan commission for a new road configuration and removing part of the buffer yard open space based on the petitioner's compatibility with Monroe County Comprehensive Plan. And then staff is recommending forwarding a negative recommendation for adding the one use to track F to the plan commission based on the petitioner's incompatibility with the Monroe County Comprehensive Plan.
Right.
Is there
and we're-
anything else, Daniel? I didn't mean to jump in there, but I just had it in front of me.
Yes, we're recommending a positive recommendation for changing the housing densities for tract F, G, and I. The property is divided up into 3 tracts, which I believe are marked on page, let's see, 13, it looks like, of the packet. And we're recommending that with the following conditions. The petitioner is to designate common areas for all drainage easements when property is subdivided. Let's see, proposing minimum design standards for each area, including minimum lot width and minimum buildable area. The petitioner is to designate conservation easements around the sinkholes to the south and non-buildable areas. And yes, we are recommending a negative recommendation for adding one use tract F to the Plan Commission based on the petition's incompatibility with the Monroe County Comprehensive Plan. That recommendation for the road configuration and removing part of the buffer yard also has conditions. The petitioner is to propose an alternative connection to bedrock that better avoids sinkhole conservancy areas. The petitioner is to revise the proposed impervious coverage percentage to discount for the roads in the residential areas. And number 3 is subject to drainage board comments. The petitioner is also to propose language regarding the timing and extent of the road network build out in coordination with the timing of the proposed future residential development, and to amend the roadway design to require cul-de-sacs instead of stubs at the end of the roads.
Thank you. Any questions for Daniel Brown?
No.
No? Okay.
Daniel, you said discounting the impervious surface of the roads, or are they accounting for it?
Discounting, petitioner is to revise the proposed impervious covered percentage to discount the road for the residential areas.
So we want them to recalculate it so that you already know how much impervious surface the road is going to take up. So what is gonna be that amount per lot or for the lots?
Okay.
So just subtracting out the roads. See what that
Yes,
number's
that's
gonna be.
what we're,
Just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure we account for it.
that's what we're looking for.
Right, right.
Yeah.
No, just wanting more clarity.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. All right,
Is this supposed to be low income housing?
I'm not sure.
I don't think that exists.
It's not our.
No.
All right.
Planning.
I didn't see on the plan, the plans for stormwater drainage to the pond, is that going to be along all the roads?
Oh, you mean the storm sewer system?
Yeah, we haven't received the full plan yet. So we're just talking about whether or not this is going to be feasible and what we want to see with that drainage plan.
So it's more diametric right now. Because they just got.
There will be ponds, that's what we have right now. Daniel Butler, would you like to respond to any of the discussion so far? Yep, TSD, could you please unmute Daniel. He's on the attendee with his hand raised.
And I think I might have misspoke earlier when I was talking about impervious and impervious surface about Daniel Butler's calculations of how they would increase or decrease the about changing the one conditional use and then this lot sizes for the residents. So I'm pretty sure I misspoke earlier.
I do not problem right now. I mean, to me. Where was that? What was that?
Hey, TSD, could you please unmute Daniel? He's has his hand raised.
Bill Williams.
He's up for another petition.
Where's Bill?
Well, he worked for Kreider for a while.
Yeah.
He went to some other, so I.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know about Kreider, but now that you say that, I think, yeah, because that one summer when we paved all the school parking lots and just won them out.
Hey Wendy, could you please unmute Daniel?
On the attendee side, do you want to just promote him as a panelist?
Can I do that?
I thought you promoted me.
No, I didn't.
Oh, no.
I'm not a host.
You were pre-qualified.
That must have been TSD.
Hello?
Yes, I'm experienced.
Butler.
No, this is Daniel Brown.
Oh,
We're looking for TSD to unmute Daniel Butler. Hey Erica, would you mind running over to TSD to see if Wendy is there and she can help us out, please? Or Adam, or,
anybody?
okay.
I think Daniel is.
I'm on it. Hold on just a second. I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
Technology.
And who are you wanting to unmute? Because I don't see them.
Daniel, he's under the attendees with his hand raised.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Hold on just a second.
Thank you.
I'm on it. Yeah.
Thank you, Wendy.
Yeah. Sorry. Hold on just a second, guys.
But yeah, as I was saying, and your phone, you picked it up. I think I misspoke earlier when I was talking about the impact of the pervious and impervious surface. So when Daniel gets to speak, he can clarify that. So.
Yeah.
I've been trying to look for his analysis of the impact, but can't find it in the planning packet.
I think it might have been in our, was it in our, there was like some tables and if I was. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong.
No, you might be right. I'll look at last month's.
All right, this is Daniel Butler here.
Hi, Daniel.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yes, this project we had proposed in phases, and we are committing to, as kind of a package for the site, putting together a little piece of commercial at the front end, 3.3 acres of self-storage, and then the remainder of the site, we are committing to putting the restriction on us for future phases of doing medium density residential, more or less, with a 40% impervious rate. So we're going to be lowering, committing to lowering impervious for the entirety of the site. You know, we agree that this is a sensitive area that needs to be lowered impervious. And on top of that, we're going to be doing multiple pond locations. Even to start, we're going to be doing 2 ponds at the north to meet critical watershed rates, one for the road network and one for the new commercial site. At this time, no residential is proposed with the first phase at least, but feel free to ask any other questions that you would need.
You know, I think it's great you're putting in the additional ponds. This is Bob Audio. And will you be doing any monitoring of the ponds to verify that it is at the rates? Because if it discharges too quickly, then you might be exceeding the rates, even though they're designed properly, just given the karst nature of this area.
Well, that and our 4-inch orifice.
Right. Yeah.
I just wanted to add something from the stormwater perspective.
Yeah.
With Fieldstone Dam, that the HOA wasn't maintaining kind of their obligations, and we had to come in and, you know, help with the issue of kind of the gates and stuff with Fieldstone. And so I'm just pointing out the fact that the HOA, if we put more responsibilities on them, we've encountered an incident in the past where they weren't meeting their obligations. So if we're thinking about having it monitored, or that would most likely be the HOA, right? So just wanted to add that to this conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was thinking more during construction,
Okay.
you know, so the developer contractor would be able to monitor it during that period and say, okay, it is working or it isn't working.
So you're
So
just talking
putting in
about
like
a
a-
finite amount of time.
Yes,
We're
yeah,
talking about putting in a water level.
yeah, staff gauge.
Mhm.
You could walk by it and see,
Mhm.
and I think it'd be a pretty simple engineering calculation of what the rate is.
I just don't want to put anything else on the HOA.
No, I'm not looking for
Past
something
experiences,
years down.
They don't work very well.
not all the time.
No,
What requirements do the homeowners have to maintain any of the karst buffers or any of that?
I mean, that would be, within the stormwater and zoning ordinances.
So they have to get a building permit.
They probably have to go to BZA for a variance to build within.
I have a question for you. Do you think this is just such a kind of a unique area that the critical release rates are significant enough, or should we be considering even like a different size event?
I'd be really cranked down, I thought.
They are very stringent already,
Conservative.
conservative. but
My
we-
concern is, we've got that 4-inch orifice limitation.
Yeah, that's what we wanted to talk about. So we're coming up with these critical release rates is an incredibly small orifice. So you're designing it, right, what it needs to be, but then
Yeah.
when you go to construct it, we're calling for a 4-inch orifice to reduce clogging. So you are releasing potentially more than what was designed.
And I'm wondering if we maybe have to incorporate a butterfly valve or a gate valve or something to be able to. That would take some monitoring, but
Control the outflow.
yeah, you could crank it down
Mhm.
or tighten, close the valve off a little bit, and get down to that
Or
smaller.
that's,
And then after an event, if it backs up, you could always open the thing up to blow out whatever gets stuck in it, but who's gonna do that?
No, I agree. I was
you
just
gotta
gonna,
have somebody to do it.
yeah,
I
I was just
go
gonna
to
say,
the
while you're out
fields
going
and
to
things.
build stone, you can just make some additional stuff. Stop by.
Now a full day trip?
Just add another chore to your
Well,
drawer right now.
our stormwater crew supervisor mostly goes out and does it for me.
But there may
Once
be
I come from work,
some
I'll
way.
text them and say, hey.
I get what you're saying. It's just-
Um,
I don't know, I just have to be more creative, but it's gotta be something that.
I'm curious the cost of technology to have like an automated thing. It was pretty expensive in 2016, I would assume. It's still fairly
Yeah.
expensive and it's not necessarily reliable either.
Ooh. What, and so what kind of decision is needed by us
okay,
or discussion, any further discussion?
I know, because it doesn't necessarily need to guide your decision today, but what they're allowed to do with the underlining of approval in the PUD is pretty significant. And I'm curious if anything that they're suggesting is a reasonable trade-off just to prevent what they're already allowed to do. But I don't necessarily think that needs to be part of your decision-making, but I think that's a part of this discussion we haven't quite had yet. And I think it might be important because if we do nothing, they can do X, Y, Z. If we do this, then they can it might reduce the impact of it. And I think that's worth having that discussion.
mhm,
Does that make sense?
yeah.
Okay. And I guess Daniel would be the person because that's been what he's been talking about, Daniel Butler.
Mhm.
Did you want to speak to that, Mr. Butler?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, our client has really, in my opinion, gone out of their way to reduce the amount of housing they get on this. And Daniel Brown can speak to that too, that it is a lot reduction. And we'd like to do that because we do understand there's flooding downstream of us. And one way to do that is reduce the amount of impervious on the site. So absolutely.
So I pulled up the subwatershed release rates. Peak discharge calculations from Chris Woodberg's study. We are right here. This is the north part of the Wiley Farm development, so the release rates here are just below the critical watershed rates that we've adopted for this watershed. 0.235 for the 10-year and 0.393 for the 100-year. Then this is the other part of the site that will be draining through the watershed to the regional pond.
That does go.
This southern part does, yes, but that's not being proposed yet.
Yeah, okay.
If it doesn't work, what repercussions do we have against the developer?
Hmm.
Because it may not work.
What's the tricky thing?
This is an interesting area because
Mhm.
neighbors down south have been flooded out due to events in this area. And
Mhm.
it would be very unfortunate to see that happen. And that sinkhole, I think, is quadruple in size since the first time I visited out there.
Um,
Would
But the Cave Creek.
Okay, okay.
Do you think the ponds would help for most rain events to slow the water down? Is compared to what's there now with no detention, just the hillside of trees?
Theoretically, yes.
Theoretically, yes.
Well, there's a lot of drainage that comes down there from the Cook property and
Mhm. Yeah.
Ivy Tech and all that area,
Yeah, that's.
the north of the highway.
North, yeah, this development is on the top of a hill on the watershed boundary, basically, so there's nothing else coming onto the site from this. This is just contributing to
Yeah.
Cape Creek.
I saw the report from Hydrogeology and it didn't indicate that there was any flowing. Sometimes things become
Uh-huh.
flowing springs during high events, and I didn't see any indication in his report that that was the case.
Okay,
So there's no, it's not a discharge point currently
okay,
in its forested state, but detention, if properly designed and outletted, will retain the impervious excess that they put onto the system. It's just, yeah, that matter of ensuring it's properly designed
Mhm.
and has sufficient capacity.
Because we're gonna get heavier and heavier rainfalls.
Mhm. My thoughts are what's gonna happen if we have a 6-inch rain. Say Fieldstone is gonna overtop with the spillway after about a 4-inch rain.
Yeah.
And this, oh no, I'm sorry, is the capacity of the pond also taking into account additional development, because there's future development plans within it, so are these ponds going to be designed to capture all
Like
new
the adjacent
development?
parcels too. They're not owned by the same owner, so.
Like, what,
But
I mean, if this.
That's a great
this
question.
Be,
Yeah, this road goes, like it dead ends
yeah.
for the potential to develop this.
Good question.
And this is, draining, I think, it's hard to see the contours,
Yeah, it's
but I,
hard to tell where the.
but I think because of what
Yeah,
this,
if there's
so,
the adjacent parcels.
Daniel Butler. The question is, if the two proposed ponds are gonna be designed for development. The additional development, right? On just this parcel,
Yeah, no, that's a good question. We do propose, we are going to propose more ponds throughout the site. These are not the only 2 ponds. These 2 ponds at the front end on the north end would only be for our phase 1 to make sure we're meeting the critical watershed rates. And then we'd like to come back if need be to drainage board for each phase after that to make sure that we're meeting, see how the front end is going, make sure that we're meeting all the release rates for the rest of the phases. But as part of right now, we are going to be committing to that lower impervious area through the entirety of the site. So we wouldn't be asking for anything denser in the future with this current proposal.
And maybe I'm just hard of hearing or a little slow today, but just to clarify, you're saying that these 2 stormwater ponds are for just proposed lot 1, the 3.34 acres?
That's correct. So we have
Okay.
one on the 3.34 acres, and then we have one to the east of the new road stub, and that would be for the road stub alone.
Okay.
is for
That's
those.
what I thought. But
Thank you.
nothing for the residential yet.
Well,
So-
is that, well. I guess. They're not really saying that they want to have that allowed use for that track, so. We don't know, they're just wanting to have the allow use, so it would, the way that they're. Asking is that could all potentially be storage units, is what I'm understanding in that one track.
Even the residential. across the
Even
street
that,
lots,
yeah, that's what they're
60 feet
showing,
long.
but the way that they're proposing is they're just asking to add the conditional use in there, so, but. I think that's more of a kind of a plan commission kind of thing, but those residential properties might be storage units potentially. I'm not saying that's what they're planning on doing. I'm just saying they're just asking for that one allowed use in that 3.34 acres. I was kind of confused by this discussion a bit too.
Okay.
Actually, BG is the one that helped me understand a bit more.
Just to clarify, we would only be asking for the 3.34 acres with the storage, and then the remainder of the site, we would commit to no more commercial, only residential.
And do you have rough calculations of impervious and pervious surface compared to the storage units and the residential's homes? I've been looking for that in the packet. I couldn't find it.
His comments.
We're proposing 65% maximum for 3.34 acres alone. And then the remainder of the site is no more than 40% impervious.
So this comment down here. Of all that. So.
Oh, here it is.
And there's a summary of it on the next page.
Yeah.
Again, what's being requested, any additional requirements or, you know, the only thing obviously a proper design detention, but then monitoring during construction.
Mhm.
To be sure, it is functioning as designed.
Yeah,
And I would add to it too, that we do the drainage calculations, we can't just come up with our reduction and it may be a 2-inch orifice and just say, okay, you can have a 4-inch. Somehow we're gonna have to come up with a system that brings it down to that,
yeah,
the required flow rate.
right.
So like treatment train having multiple.
Or, well, no, it's more like, if you have a 2-inch discharge. And we can't because our minimum discharge is a 4-inch, we're gonna have to come up with some kind of other means, a valve, something that we can neck it down to the required orifice size, because it's all due to maintenance.
Mhm.
There's gotta be something where we can't relax our requirements, especially in
Yeah.
this particular march.
Mhm.
That's my.
Yeah. I think it's safe to say I could take the final drainage plan back to drainage board for approval. I've done that with a couple other projects that are in the Sinking Creek watershed. So that we can look at how it's actually designed and find their solution for that, what you're talking about, the 4-inch orifice issue.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I think that'd be great to bring it.
How fast is this development going to take place?
Maybe Daniel has a sense.
That's a great question. Right now, phase 1 is seen as we're hoping to do all of that this year if approved. And then the next phase would be in the next year and a half after that. So it'd probably be 2025 when the next phase, I'd probably be in the somewhere of 25 to 30 homes on the next phase. And then there'd be phase 3 and phase 4. Phase 4 down south, that's more of an environmental sensitive area. And that would only be a couple homes down to the south. As you can see, we're not very dense down there because of it gets more sensitive with karst features, takes some careful design. Probably the whole entire property developed by 2027.
Which one's phase 4? Can you put that on that?
Yeah, the phasing would be helpful.
Phasing would be very helpful.
So the storage facilities are phase 1. And the residential to the east is phase 2.
How many residential lots are there?
Went around and came back up,
63. 63 lots. Yes, I think so.
hold on, 63.
it's weird because the numbering,
63 is the highest number.
10, 11, 12.
Yeah, but
I
does
don't
it go
see-
into the other areas?
What are they?
Oh, down below here, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah,
it's 9, so they've got larger lots down below to the south.
Yeah, this is the top of the hill, and this is
These are
where
so small.
it's steep and carved.
I do have an additional question or comment,
Yeah.
and it's the public comment about the gentleman that came and spoke
Yeah.
about the north end of Fieldstone
And then.
Boulevard and the dam, and how we discussed how that dam isn't functioning, I think the way it was designed, and I'm very curious, if that's something we want to discuss here. It's kind of a off-site situation, but I do think it would be impacted.
Yeah, I wanna talk about this. So the person who owns property here, I believe we have them on Zoom as well. They said that this pipe under the road here used to drain back into the pond. And then when Summerfield was developed here, they brought in a lot of fill and basically just filled in all of this. And they diverted this flow away from their work site mid-construction to keep their site dry. So that this would flow this way, so the pipe under Fieldstone would flow downstream of the dam. And they're supposed to put it back, but they didn't. That's what the conversation has been. Looking at the original dam construction plans, looking at it, and I don't see that it was ever supposed to flow behind the dam. The spill is supposed to be here at 8:30. And there are questions as to, was it actually constructed properly? Is it at the correct elevation? So that's what I'm currently looking at. So where is it designed to go? And
So was this the emergency spillway for the dam?
yes,
So it seems like the flow should have come out of the pond
yeah,
as opposed to flowing back
from
in.
here, it shouldn't flow back in there. It should be the high point up here. And you stand out there, it's very flat.
Oh,
Yeah,
so it could have been, if it wasn't constructed properly, then it could flow
yeah.
back.
And I believe I saw on a previous DNR dam inspection report, they had a comment about the spillway. And I don't want to quote it right now. I don't
Yeah,
wanna
yeah.
say something incorrect, but, that's what made me say, oh, I'm not surprised if it wasn't done properly. The other question I have, so if, say, we determine this is supposed to flow downstream of the dam, I have concerns about this flow path here needing to be stabilized somehow to get to the stream here. Because right now, it's just a really broad flow path for that dam overflow. But if we have to do it right, this site really should have a clear conveyance over to the nearest stream, stabilized channel.
So would then that resident have to provide an easement or whatever?
This whole parcel is owned by the Fieldstone HOA, so,
Oh, I see.
yes.
Okay.
But this gentleman mows. I'm not sure what agreement they have. He was.
Yeah, you can, yes.
And he's on Zoom.
Are we gonna have to build another storage area for water in there?
So I guess my question is, would you want to see this kind of improvement before we, like start developing more of this PUD? And I guess that would just be kind of something that this board could recommend. I'm not necessarily saying that could make sure that that's required. I think the petitioner would have to commit to doing something like that. And then Fieldstone HOA, and I think you'd maybe even have to go through and do a couple PUD amendments to establish that type of easement. I'm not too sure how the process would work, but I just wanted to bring it up because I feel like if we're really looking at addressing the concerns here, that this is part of it.
So we could have them do off-site improvements.
I've seen off-site improvements, but they have to be willing to do it. They have to make a commitment, and sometimes they'll do off-site improvements, to, win over favor sometimes with the additional use. I don't want to speculate, but I'm curious of what will occur if they don't get the additional use and where we would be at that stage, but that's not here or there, but it'll be interesting.
I mean, if they don't get the additional use, they still have the ability to take a drainage plan to us for high density residential development.
Absolutely.
Which then we'd have to basically have the same exact conversation, what we're gonna allow. So to me, the use doesn't,
No, it doesn't really matter here. I'm just curious of what their goals are if they don't get it,
yeah.
but you're absolutely right.
And it sounds like a valid concern to have that drainage improvements there.
Okay.
North of the property.
For the sake of time, let's go back to my discussion points, and then I'd like to move on, if possible, just for everyone's time, 29:30. So we've gone over a lot of this.
Yes.
Release rates, pond design, take it back to the drainage board, once we have the ponds designs that you can approve. The drainage plan. We'll need to discuss the outlet conveyed over the Fieldstone spillway and what that zone could look like. Tree removal. For detention ponds, how many trees are they actually going to be removing? You don't have that number yet, so. And then. Everything will be in drainage easements, basically, and that's just per our ordinance, that's not special condition or anything. I just thought it was good to mention, since they don't show individual lots for the ponds, specifically by the commercial storage, so that will need to be under an easement. So. The plan commission is looking for us to make a recommendation based on drainage. Right, John? So vote,
Yeah, I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it's here, is to get your expertise. But probably little that we can make. As a compliance measure or a condition of approval, but I think we can make recommendations that could serve as
and we could do
guidance.
conditions of approval.
Can we? Okay.
Absolutely.
What conditions would we be looking at?
You can change the release rates if you want, you can have it meet the Christopher Burke report, which is not gonna change too much, but. Something you could change, you can require special valve. And have that design back to the drainage board for approval, you can require monitoring.
So do we have a motion to have a conditional approval based on the consideration of adequate design of drainage ponds, monitoring, and any valving that might be required or other technology?
I'm curious, and I wouldn't want to put too much, but outside of just the construction monitoring the construction, phase, making sure it's working appropriately. Would we maybe want a follow-up with the HOA to go out and check it out, like maybe, with, a couple of times for the, a couple of years? Not necessarily asking them to go out there every time.
Long-term maintenance,
Well, long-term maintenance, I mean,
being the ONM manual.
Or we could- Maybe what we could do is have the HOA engage a consultant to do
Yeah.
this and give us a report.
that's what I'm saying, like something where
A
they.
quarterly report on, with
Making sure
like storm events that they have to come up with a scope or a method for us to review, but some means of monitoring
Mhm.
the basin, and maybe we don't use the homeowners association, but we say they have to engage someone that's capable of doing it, perhaps, for
Mhm.
burgers.
Right.
But that's a long way for them to come down here to.
It is kind of costly maybe too. I know that they have someone spoke with the HOA for Fieldstone, and it's a full-time job or something. That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Can we clarify, is this going to be under the Fieldstone HOA or will they form their own HOA?
I would ask planning, I guess,
Planning.
or Daniel Butler.
I think this would be under the Fieldstone HOA.
Okay,
I'm also taking some notes on possible conditions. One thing that we are requiring, but we want to make clear is as-built of any of the detention facilities. If you think that's appropriate, you could also include that.
yeah, we have that in the ordinance. I'll
Yes.
definitely
Yes,
require that.
okay, and then with another condition of bringing the final drainage.
Yeah.
Plan to the back of the drainage board.
Mhm.
Can we use the Christopher Burke sub?
I don't
Basin
think
for-
this was ever adopted,
Okay.
so that's
let's
why
just-
not policy,
Okay,
but
let's just stick with the critical.
I think that's fine. Especially if you haven't had a chance to review that or their methods, that's,
Let's
Yeah.
just,
okay.
This is Daniel with Bynum Phoenix. I just want to answer the question about the HOA. Fieldstone HOA is interested in having this new neighborhood or this new area in their HOA, but that's not determined. We would definitely set up an HOA on our own, but Fieldstone is interested in having this added to theirs. There's been conversations about that already.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, and I don't know if it's a condition, but so you're gonna be investigating this whole spillway issue.
Yeah.
And then
Mhm.
could we ask, or it's not a condition of approval, but
You could recommend.
could we recommend that the developer look at improvements in the downstream
Downstream
Offsite.
improvements.
drainage?
Is that all of one motion there?
Yeah, I mean, one is the condition and then another is a recommendation that they look at it. I don't know if we can make them do it.
Yeah,
No, but that
Yeah.
could all be one motion.
Yes,
if you determine that the downstream infrastructure is inadequate, I think you could require improvements. But it's difficult in this specific situation because it's not in the right of way. It's on private property, so that's
Yes.
why it's hard to require it
right.
if it's not in the right of way. If it was in the right of way, I'd say, would absolutely require it.
Yeah, exactly.
it's not like upsizing a sewer main or a water main to.
Mhm.
And but some way of having it addressed.
Okay,
Or just what you're doing is keeping it part of the conversation, which I think is very important.
Yes. Yes,
Because if we can't do anything, that's one thing, but to make sure that we make a note of it is
Is that,
valuable.
that's on Fieldstone's property, right?
yes,
Well, then why aren't they maintaining?
well, that's something that's how I'm gonna pursue it is,
That's what I'm.
and I've reached out to them, I just haven't heard back. Scheduling a meeting yet.
Okay.
yeah.
That's just what I.
Mhm.
Is there, okay, is that too much of a rambling, conditional approval?
That could help us. There was someone in the.
I
Yes.
hope Donna's getting this.
Jackie said she was taking notes.
Jackie's
on the
taking
conditions.
notes.
No, it's too long and rambling.
I can share my screen if you want, or put it in the chat if you want, what my notes have been. Let me just
Mhm.
do that.
Yeah.
So,
And
Oh, gosh, thank you, Jake.
I've written down, notes as well.
If the ponds don't work,
Mhm.
what recourse do we have to have additional
Mhm.
ponds made or created?
Mhm.
So if they don't work or they're not efficient.
They're not sufficient for
Okay.
holding back all the water that's gonna be coming down.
Great question.
Wouldn't that be the monitoring? I guess we didn't.
Yeah.
follow it up, but
Well,
if the monitoring
typically-
fails, they need to come back and.
Like, I usually just have the original design to hold them to when I'm enforcing, say, hey, your pond has failed, you need to restore it to its original design. That's like the most typical conversation we have
Well,
about.
the ponds may not be big enough to hold all of it.
But if we design them and find that it's not sufficient, so
Yeah.
you're asking, that is,
Right.
Right, and then there'll be, sediment over time is gonna fill in, so they'll have to be,
then that's part of maintenance, and they would have an additional, 10% capacity, they would add on.
Can we ask them to
Jackie.
oversize them?
More than the release rate required.
Or ask them to make it sense to look into
Mhm.
the ability to oversize them so that they can capture more.
And that's what my comment was with, do you feel comfortable that the critical release rates are significant or efficient?
I mean, they increase the volume substantially from what our previous ordinance would require.
for sure.
So they are oversized in this watershed anyway, I guess. We can, make sure in the drainage plan, they're including additional 10% capacity for sediment storage. And MS4 staff is required to inspect them every 5 years now, which wasn't done previously. We have over 300 ponds in our inventory now. And that's why I hired Erica, and created that position 2 years ago, is to take on that workload that we just didn't do before.
300 ponds.
Yeah, Erica just told me yesterday, they have
300.
within county jurisdiction, privately owned BMPs.
I can see it, but that seems like a lot.
Wow.
I'll have to get the updated numbers from the city, but they have 500 and stuff.
Okay, Jackie did put her comments up there.
Okay.
Scroll up. Maybe you want to read them out loud for the record.
Okay, conditions of approval require release rates based on the critical release rates in chapter 761 of the drainage board policy. Require monitoring during construction, and to clarify, the monitoring would be water level monitoring
Yeah.
to determine if they're releasing properly.
If it's the proper release rates,
Okay,
critical release rates.
I don't want to say quarterly monitoring, but monitoring done at whatever frequency is recommended at that point.
Yeah.
After we can review that, but monitoring by a third party.
I have just a comment while we're looking at these, is maybe we could do something like quarterly monitoring for the first year, and then after that, kind of as kind of needed or, determined.
Yeah,
But I think visiting the site to make sure it's functioning correctly at the beginning is most important,
Especially after heavy rainfall.
right?
mhm, yeah.
Final drainage plan to be reviewed and approved. Okay.
Well, I'll say, how about, we haven't received a full preliminary drainage plan. You don't have a drainage report on this yet. So you could say preliminary drainage plan and final.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay. And then a recommendation for the downstream improvements for the Fieldstone HOA for the dam spillway.
Okay.
And then-
I make the motion.
So I'll second.
Okay, then we'll do a roll call. Ginger,
Yes,
Bill,
Yes.
Aye.
all right, and audio says aye also. Okay,
Okay.
Great discussion, great
Okay.
discussion.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Got
thank you.
through it.
Okay, we have 2 more things. I'm so sorry. That would be my.
Well, the KNS, we've been there before, right? So that's an update maybe, or was that next?
Yeah,
We'll make
so
next jinx us also making commissioners.
I don't anticipate these taking just as long as the first.
right.
That's my
Oh,
second note.
and may I bring up one more thing?
Yes.
What is the status of property buyouts in the Cave Creek? Anything?
We've talked to our EMA section, and they're currently updating their hazard mitigation plan for the county, and Tammy was on the email. We're gonna try and put those locations in the hazard mitigation plans that will be eligible for funding. for
So how do we
grants.
get funds to do?
Ginger Ginger has been a big help for us.
Yeah, so I reached out to Homeland Security, who has grant fundings, and I can't even remember the names right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But there's opportunities through FEMA,
Okay.
luckily, funding to do buyouts of communities. There's some stipulations, and the first step is to make sure our EMA in their plans have that these areas are of concern.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
step 1, and then we have to get landowners on board stuff too, and then.
Yes.
Okay.
Apply for application, and
Yeah.
then ensure landowners are still on board, and
Mhm.
then get the application, then ensure the landowners are
Yes.
still on board. and-
Yeah,
Okay.
and then there's a conversation actually came up with Candy, who brought that up for Clear Creek potentially for those homes in the floodplain there. So that's actually how we started talking about it. She just left, but
What happened to English when it,
they moved the whole
Moved
town.
the whole town moved up the hill?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
That was amazing. is
Well,
what happened.
I think the federal government needs to buy out the
Yeah.
barrier island developments
Okay,
because they're gonna be flooded again with hurricanes.
yeah.
But
Well,
they don't,
hopefully we can get some assistance. If the landowners are agreeable, we'll be set up to get funding to be able to do that.
Yeah. No, it's a different, DNR put me in touch with Homeland Security, though, so they're aware of it. Anita Nance, at
Mhm.
DNR.
Yeah.
She hooked me up with the right person to talk to. We had a great conversation, and they are highly encouraging us to apply. If we qualify. And there was some other consideration, other projects that we possibly could fit for too, but this was the first, like, this
Yeah.
one was
Right, yeah.
the one, the right one for us.
Yeah.
Poster child for this.
I wanted to just say that TSD raised their hand, and I think TSD is raising their hand because I think Gentry Services is the
Okay.
gentleman that spoke last time about the Fieldstone
Thank you.
Boulevard issue, and I think they wanted
Okay.
to speak. I don't know if it's
Absolutely, yes.
necessarily policy for us to go to public comment, but I just wanted to
I
indicate
think that would be fine. Please.
yeah.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, good
Yeah,
morning.
Terry, good morning. Terry Gentry, Monroe County resident, owner of Gentry's LLC. If she could pull up the map of the spillway of the dam again. Thank you. There we go. My concern all along was, I thought it was supposed to go north, but if it's going to go south, and you've already addressed that that ditch was not designed to carry water. And you were talking about easement, we would not be in favor of an easement to let it cross our property line. And there should be no need for an easement because there is enough property owned by Fieldstone to connect to the creek without an easement, need of an easement from us.
Okay, I see. And so your property are the two buildings there to the south along the road and.
Yeah,
then-
your GIS lines are off.
They're out of whack.
Way off. Yeah. So
Okay.
basically, and probably that 45-degree line that goes over and crosses the creek is probably off too. But there is ample enough room without crossing our property to connect to
Based
that
off the
creek.
contour lines, do you know which one represents your property line the best, just for us?
My property line would be basically where those cars are sitting out there.
Okay,
And then,
cool.
and then
Thank
go,
you.
yeah, and go about a 45-degree angle to the creek. And that leaves probably at least 60-foot wide strip there where they would not have to have an easement.
Okay, understood.
Yeah, cause you might wanna reach out to some of the folks with dam safety.
Yeah,
Because I feel like that stream going through there may cause some problems with the dam itself, and
yeah.
so. You might wanna reach out to them to just get some information on which way would.
I've
be
been
approved
meaning
be
to
better.
do that anyway, because we haven't had a DNR inspection in 5 years. And I'm realizing because the state legislature changed the requirements for DNR regulated dams, I think this dam falls just below all of the criteria.
Just below.
It's an 18-foot dam, it's like 20, it has 74 cubic acre of, whatever, 74 acre feet of storage instead of 100.
Yeah,
The only threshold that meets it has a greater than 1 square mile drainage area, so I don't think this is regulated by DNR anymore.
yeah, but you could still get their opinion.
I will,
whether
yes, I was
this is
planning to,
like- Yeah, to
Mhm.
get some
and
idea.
actually talk to someone from DNR at the Elms conference about it, so.
Yeah.
All right, well, Jerry, any other comments from you or, yeah, thank you.
No, that's it.
Well, okay, very good. Very good.
And I just wanted to indicate that we don't have any real kind of position to say they are required to do anything over there in that area, but we are recommending that they look into it. So I just wanted to really clarify that. And I appreciate your comments, you coming to the meeting and you coming today to speak as well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
All right. Okay, so this next one is KNS roll-off. Daniel Butler is the engineer on this one as well. We also have Bill Williams, who's helping out the property owner navigate the permitting requirements for this. So this is a property in the Bunker Branch watershed. I'm taking this to you. It's a combination of a compliance case, and then they're also going through, because they have to go through the plan amendment process for the compliance, they're also trying to, while they do that, add on the development that they had planned anyway. So, not in the right place here. We're off of State Road 45 in the Bunker Branch watershed down here, so southeast of the airport. This property is basically in a hole. They have sinkholes on the whole west side of the property here. So previously, they had restrictions on where they could place fill material. And it was somewhere about in this area on that side. They continued dumping. It's just hardened concrete. It's the concrete that comes from the concrete washout containers on construction sites. It's almost all pure concrete. Item and our local county solid waste agreed that it was a de minimis amount of other materials. It would be the plastic that they tear off from the concrete that's hardened. But so for the most part, just all concrete. And they're trying to amend their plan to show that this is now the new limit of dumping. They cannot dump in the sinkhole any longer. While they do that, they've also had some storage in this sinkhole area, gravel lot. It's flush with the ground surface, so it doesn't appear that much fill has actually happened there. And then they're proposing some storage unit development along here. So there are 3 sinkholes total on site, this large one on the north side, the large one on the southwest side, and then they do have another closed contour in the middle here. This is where the site mainly drains to. And this is, I think, where their proposed development may drain or my head. Previously, someone at the county, possibly Todd, I don't have much record of it, approved they've got a HDPE pipe that discharges into the sinkhole, but it's protected by a line of bin blocks. The thought is that it would reduce velocity along here, and that's currently what is in place. So for the mitigation side of this, we asked them to get a car study done to determine the impact of the sinkholes. They said everything appears to be stable and the sinkholes themselves don't appear to, they're not open or anything. So the stance I've taken on this so far is to reduce the amount of disturbance needed. So if you can leave fill in place, leave it. It would cause more disturbance to try and tear it up, getting heavy equipment in the sinkholes. So I prefer to avoid that. Take some more procedural measures for stabilization and other things that they can do on site to reduce any future discharge of pollutants. I asked Daniel Butler, their engineer, to calculate the high water elevation for this sinkhole to see how its capacity has been impacted, taking that 48-hour 100-year rain event and seeing if it overtops, because if it does overtop, it would then, basically this is one big compound sinkhole actually. It stays within this closed contour here. If it were to overtop, then I would probably ask for some remediation to help mitigate downstream or offsite impacts. But so yeah, had them calculate that volume based on the new contours, and they got it all to stay within that area. So I'm leaning towards just going towards stabilization, not impacting it any further, and allowing the fill to stay. for the southern sinkhole, gravel lot, way down area. I'm looking at more procedural measures for that, just to, don't store anything leaking, take basically a storm pollution prevention plan for that area or any other storage areas to make sure that, what they're storing there is not hazardous materials. Procedural things that they can do on the site.
Yeah.
To clean, make sure this keeps it clean.
That's good.
For the development, so this is really why I'm taking this to you to approve design standards for this. It's not in a critical watershed that you previously approved for release rates. So I'm looking to see if you would set a release rate for this new development. And if you can discharge it into the sinkhole or provide detention within a sinkhole. Sure. Which, I mean, part of the tells you kind of what they're doing with that row of bin blocks in the sinkhole. So let me pull up their plans here. Jackie's back. Okay.
And what's the use of this property gonna be ultimately?
The use isn't changing. It's commercial. It's K&S will allow the store dumpsters.
Yeah.
And they, have on-site fueling, which they have an SBC for now.
When I type in that address, it doesn't give me that location for
Oh.
some reason.
I might have typed it in wrong on the packet.
Yeah, I kind of cringed the idea of detention of
In the
dumpster in a sinkhole.
Yes. Yeah.
It just didn't sit right.
Understandably, which is why I'm taking it to you.
What about some sort of like vegetative swale? Some sort of plant uptake type treatments that would also allow for potential storage
Mhm.
as treatment was occurring, right? So some sort of,
We do bioretention. We
yeah,
have that in our ordinance. It's frequently,
something like that, just.
that's usually the normal requirement would be the detention. Dry basin with native vegetated
Yeah.
plantings. So, maintenance. Oh, sorry, got it here. 4810 West.
You do have the
River.
correct address, you just have to type it in particularly like,
Oh, the West State Road.
yeah, W.SR.
Okay, okay,
So I did find it,
great.
sorry about that.
So they're just proposing adding storage units on the site. These are the 3 sinkholes. So asking them to redelineate them based on the new contours. This is the proposed storage unit, so this area is already kind of a storage area for the company. But they would be adding parking, storage units, no parking, and then and ask for some type of pond or bioretention area before discharging to a sinkhole. Because unfortunately, you can't not discharge to a sinkhole on this property.
Yeah.
So,
I think the bioretention sounds like a great idea.
okay,
You're not standing to the single, right?
I mean, you have to, right?
Yeah.
There's no external drain, you have to allow it to go to the sink, but as much treatment as possible, as much
mhm,
retention that is allowed for treatment to go before it enters that is.
So should we have buffering or something, like actual landscaping buffering, not just a conservancy area, but like where we want it? Like some type of plants or something?
Yeah, I mean, I would even recommend carbon-based amendments to the soils to enhance the treatment.
okay.
But,
Biochar?
well, yeah, but you can't, I don't know if you can specifically.
Oh, right, but yeah,
I mean,
But-
we have specifications for the amended soils in our ordinance, and so we could,
Yeah, because if you
Where
can
it's
turn,
specified.
if you can turn the soils into a bioretention type. Or bioreactor type.
So what sort of amenities
So, yeah, just mulches and organically rich soils.
Okay.
Because we have
What was the
compost.
biochar,
It's-
whatever, I mean, I'm thinking, okay, I take all my leftover charcoal from the grill and.
Well,
I got
actually,
biochar. It's potash or whatever is that.
well, it's
a lot of
it's
cooking.
actually, it is a charcoal, but it's cooked in the absence of oxygen.
Mhm.
And it's a great carbon absorbing material.
It's,
So, but anyway, I'm not
Okay,
proposing that, but
That's, it would be great if you could so outsource that, but I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
Specify.
but I think that bioretention, soil treatment, soil amendment.
Yep. We have all that. in
Yeah,
our-
native plantings, all that stuff would be
Yeah.
the only treatment that you can propose that would potentially uptake. Especially if you could get some plants with metal uptake, but that's getting early into the weeds, so.
So. Which ones do that?
Yeah, there is lists of plants, that I can provide if needed, but, that are metal, specifically metal uptakers, so.
So I think
metals.
this pond would only be treating the storage unit area. Not their area drains around the dumpster storage, so.
The ducks are going to the sinker.
Yeah, where, like, what, are they cleaning these dumpsters out there? I mean, so you take them to the dump or a transfer station and.
That's a good
then you
question
come back
for,
here and mows them down.
Bill or Daniel Butler. We had a question about the current activities on the KNS property. Is this property strictly used just for clean dumpster storage, or are they washing them on site?
You know.
Well, yeah, that's. Go back.
Could we send Daniel Butler a unmute?
There you go.
And the other thing,
You're unmuted, Daniel, but
where they're putting the storage building, that's all impervious surface right now, right? So-
It's pretty compacted gravel.
Yes.
It's not gonna change.
What about connecting the two sinkholes and getting a little more volume in there? Do we even wanna? I don't know.
Yeah.
My initial gut would be to not change the flow patterns.
Yeah,
But I'm on the-
well, no, I think you're right about disturbance, right? The more disturbance that goes on in this property, the more likely you are to create more direct conduits and flow paths.
Okay.
Never mind,
Yeah.
never mind that.
Daniel Butler or Bill Williams, would you like to speak about the current uses of the site?
I can't hear them either, so I don't know what's
Okay.
going on.
I have them unmuted, so.
yeah, Daniel's off mute.
He may have stepped away for a second.
Well, he raised his hand too.
Yeah,
Do you want me to do Bill Williams?
Bill Williams is also unmuted.
Yeah.
But
Basically, the site currently is.
Bill Williams.
Hello, how's everybody?
Hi.
Good. The site currently is being used basically for storage of the dumpsters. They also have been cleaning dumpsters out that have been on construction sites and, putting the material there on site. Couple of the 4th Street parking garage, for instance, that's where that's located at now, the old one. Also the slabs where the county's parking garage was taken.
mhm. With no rebar, right? I didn't see any rebar on the site.
No.
It's just the
Yeah,
solid.
all the rebars being
Yeah.
removed as well as any plastic or anything along that line. There's an employee that does go around cleaning all that.
Do they wash the dumpsters indoors or another location?
I wish I could answer that. I do not. Keith isn't with us unfortunately, and I don't, I hate to tell you yes and, or hate to tell you the wrong thing.
I'll say this one clarity, I'm seeing the plan more close up now. This, area just north of sinkhole C, that's proposed area filled for storage.
Oh, yeah,
purposes.
they added that on.
Is that what you said we are not allowing? Or what are you thinking of that?
Okay, so that's something else that they recently added on. Is they're asking to, fill in some more. So, let's see. So they asked if they could basically still add concrete fill to the site as long as it's outside of the sinkholes. So I would treat that as any other fill site or development. I forgot to add that in. I don't think that was there when I created the packet last time. The last board meeting.
It's just that bow tie area.
I had a question, I guess, what we're looking at, sinkhole B. With the current site kind of has that parking or storage area there. Is the goal to actually get them out of the conservancy area, or are we talking about kind of leaving it as is and trying to address the impacts moving forward? Is a question, because have we even considered seeing it? They're able just to move out of that old conservancy area where the sinkhole is.
I thought this was that we're not disturbing anything, so hence we're leaving it.
Okay,
So they're still gonna be storing dumpsters
there,
here. I mean,
okay.
Just storing them
mhm.
and not cleaning them.
I can ask to.
Yeah, get that clarified.
Mhm,
Yeah.
Definitely.
And what about like potential, like, I don't know, gravel and stuff being kind of pulled downstream during a rain event and going into the sinkhole? Is there any mitigation methods to like prevent that from occurring?
We're in the safest room.
My husband said it's raining, I said, I don't know, there's no windows.
I haven't seen any evidence of migration, at least of large gravel. As a single sleeve already has gravel at the bottom of it for a lay down area, so you can drive through it.
So, yeah, okay, past that question regarding this bow tie area. It kind of looks like there's some potentially closed contours there to the
Yeah.
southwest. And
Yeah,
I might personally only give them half of that bow tie, east portion.
I was also thinking that, so they defined this now by the new high water elevation, but I'd be inclined to ask for the largest closed contour.
Yeah.
I see.
But if they were to say go up on the ridge here. I mean, that would be outside of the closed contour. Or, what's it, this
Yeah.
small east side right here possibly, but this. If it's within the closed contour.
Yeah.
then-
Yeah.
Or including asking for some type of forebay. Or something to capture runoff. Dissipate.
I would, yeah, that would be a good idea. Yeah. But that's where, so I just wonder if they're hosing down a dumpster and like, some of that stuff ought to be filtered out before it. Sort of keeps going.
Yeah, can we require them to do kind of a capture area for dumpster thing out?
Yeah, that's going out there or someplace else.
Some sort of like
Containment.
treatment or containment or
Yeah,
something.
One thing, so I don't know what their rule, I mean, I would think they've got some sort of rule for non-form discharge from.
yeah,
That may be already going on because I've not seen any evidence of a slurry or anything along that line.
No.
In the basements.
also Keith says they clean out the catch basins in this part, the existing impervious area.
Well, where do they have the water to
Pardon?
clean?
Like I said, I didn't get that information from.
It needs to be
ANS.
clarified whether or not
Yeah.
they're doing it.
So,
Yeah.
so right now I was just looking at design requirements for the storage units.
Yeah.
Area, so.
So once again, a condition of approval with a bioretention from that drainage, from that storage area.
Mhm. Release rates would be
I
pre-post development or,
think, well, I'd say we should go with the critical watershed, because we haven't defined it as such yet, but I think we're effectively in one of those.
yes, and with the new ordinance, I have added this
Right.
watershed
So
too.
I think we can, in prefacing the new requirements, I think we should have those release rates.
So,
So,
Daniel Butler, did you have any comments on the design for this? Before we make a motion, I want to make sure he had a chance.
He's on mute. He was just off mute, so he might, there, he maybe
Maybe
he muted himself again, for someone to.
I don't think I have any comments. We're okay with your recommendations on soil amendments, pond. We just want to reiterate too that this site was owned by a previous tenant, and this current owner's trying to fix this up or do the right thing in order to make this usable, viable again.
Yes. Yeah, Keith has been really great to work with, so we appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the comment. I'm kind of curious, Daniel, we were asking about the clean out of the bins, and do you know anything about how that is done? I think we'll follow up if you can't provide any more input, but we've been kind of bouncing that question around a bit here. Or if they even do any cleanup on site.
The wish of the owner is to keep the fill on site as is, but we'll take any right above and beyond any recommendations. They're working with IDEM currently to make sure that there's a cleanup on site, but any other recommendations that you'd have, we would accept.
Yeah, the question was about wash water, if they have like a outside washing area that's exposed to stormwater. Or if they're washing the dumpsters, is it occurring indoors or at another location? So.
Bill Williams would know that question better than I do. Did he have an answer for that?
Bill.
He didn't know.
Yeah.
So I'll follow up with Keith and ask him. Or
And I'm
if you
kind of
want to.
thinking maybe IDEM, but they're regulated.
Yeah, that's it, if they're. Right, so.
Yeah.
Is it coming?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You feel this one coming?
No, I.
Oh.
With the radar.
yeah. So, and
Weather channel.
condition to approve with the bioretention design
Mhm.
criteria.
Did you want to make a recommendation of looking at certain types of plantings? When it goes outside of here, not necessarily condition, but just encourage.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, would that be?
Console evidence, yeah,
Mhm.
I think so, I mean.
Okay. And recommendation to look at plants that could uptake metals in or
I don't know if we want to go to that extreme. I
Okay,
think-
okay.
I think just amended soils and as much deep rooting type vegetation that doesn't take a lot of maintenance, doesn't put a lot of burden on the landowner to keep that update, but
Yeah,
does encourage that.
we can require plugs
Yeah,
in the landscaping.
Yeah.
So we can do that.
yeah, I know,
Okay,
because some of those metal uptakers are very difficult to maintain.
Oh, right,
So, you
gotcha.
know, if you don't
Yes.
have somebody on staff doing constant.
nice. We'll do native plantings for sure. Okay,
So
Well,
moved, or-
yeah, so moved, right?
Okay, Bill. Moves to approve, and then a second, Ginger?
Second.
Okay, we'll once again go through the Ginger,
Aye.
Bill,
yes.
Jim.
Aye.
Audio aye.
Thank you. Give us some clear direction. We have one more after this. Do you want to take a quick break?
I would appreciate a bathroom break.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, I'll be right back.
We're taking a quick break.
Yeah. I had called, we had a meet at 10:30, and I just let her know that I was gonna be probably late or maybe not even there.
I
which
hope
is-
the next one will be.
Which is fine. I told her it'd be late. She said, I'm not sure I'm gonna want to stay in my office. It looks so bad. I said, oh, is it really that bad? It looks.
How did you look? Oh, this.
Yeah. It really is.
So we're
We're the
oh,
blue
we're
dot.
right here.
Yeah, we're the blue dot.
So which way is it going, like days? From west to east?
Yeah, it's,
From.
Yeah.
always From Ellis.
yeah, we have property over in Sullivan County,
Oh.
and I haven't had a chance to get out there. And I haven't heard, which makes me worry because I have neighbors that normally would call and say, oh, everything's fine, or no. I haven't heard either way, so now I'm really worried that they're not even.
Usually no noise, it's good noise.
Yeah, but not in this
Not- not-
case.
no.
Yeah. So,
Well, 2 people got killed there.
three,
There's three now?
no, in Sullivan, there was 3 that were killed, and I think 9 that were injured, and then from Creek, there was the other 2 that- But yeah, so I've been chomping at the bit to get out there. Thursday, I have to take a work trip out that direction.
Oh, it's coming. It's, yeah. It's hitting us good. huh?
Yeah, and then at 2, it looks like there's gonna be another pretty bad bout.
Yeah, about noon today, looks like we're we're gonna get hit.
Yeah, these are interesting storms because they've been these cross fronts, right? They're included fronts or whatever, so they're.
Where are they now?
Right now, they're in Illinois, and we're getting hit with this little, that's future cast right now, so.
Well, my grandson probably headed west to Spencer and go 231 north I-74 and I-74 west over to I-39.
Yeah, he's gonna be in the middle of it here. a
That's what
little
I'm
bit.
afraid of.
Yeah, pull under a bridge.
Yeah.
Oh, they're driving right now?
Yeah,
Oh,
headed
Yeah,
back.
this is a strong season, strong.
It sure is.
Yeah. Yeah, we were in Denver last week, for a conference, and we saw those storms coming, and so we ended up leaving early, so that, because my kids were on spring break, so they came up. We ended up leaving early so we can get ahead of those storms, and the whole time we're driving, I kept looking for the storms. Because they predicted it, but we ended up pulling in and then, had enough time to unload and everything, and then the historic hit, so. And then we had those later ones at 11 or whatever.
Yeah.
The ones at night are, I hate,
It was scary, yeah.
you can't see the darn things.
yeah, you're trying to get some sleep. Where you got a tree coming in.
Yeah.
Window.
All right.
Yeah. Appreciate the break, thank you.
Reconvene.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Okay, the next one, we have Daniel Butler again on this project. So this is a proposed development off of Liberty Drive. There is, what a holiday here, so you have some context.
Oh, okay.
On the west side of Bloomington, there is, gosh, where am I? Okay, here we go. So it's in this area here.
Is that right by Menards?
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
north of Menard.
Yeah, that's their route, their outdoor.
Right
lumber.
here, yeah.
Yep, so just north of Menard on Liberty Drive, this is
Okay.
in the county jurisdiction.
How is it?
So this parcel here was previously getting developed and they stopped.
Yeah.
Now they want to just combine all of this into a single development, so they redesigned it. Drainage for this site, it is all located in the Clear Creek watershed. It drains all to the east under I-69 to a sinking stream, basically. It's a big sinkhole here that drains about 0.6 square miles right here, and then it flows under Basswood Drive down into the Twin Lakes area. So pretty interesting flow. The county owns this parcel right here, which serves as regional detention for Whitehall and Menard. About 90% of the Menard's property drains under the railroad into this pond. So this parcel is the last one that could, it does drain towards this pond, but they've decided to have their own ponds on site. And just kind of separate themselves from the county on regional detention. The condition of which is, it needs some maintenance.
You said there's a pond there?
There is, a dry pond. Sorry, almost all ponds in the county are gonna be dry.
Yeah, I know.
Except
I'm
maybe
not
today.
used to that.
If you're northern.
Sorry, yeah.
Yep, like I said, it definitely needs some maintenance. And that's on my list of things to do in the future. So this parcel, these two parcels here, a few different things are going on. I'm gonna allow planning to speak on this, because there are things that I don't understand, and then Dana Butler as well. So this one here actually drains to the west to the storm sewers on Liberty Drive. And then those flow to the north, and then through an easement back through this property to the regional pond. So that's pretty interesting. They're proposing a couple different ponds on site. I think two over here and then one on the east side here before just to the east.
Where's the two that they're proposing? Because I can see the one pretty clear.
Let me pull up this for you. The whole drainage report here.
I see the one that's southeast of the
Pages before, I'm gonna scroll real quick.
91,
it.
starting at 88.
Got it, thank you. Yep, so these are their drainage basins delineated, very small on the very south corner here. This flows to the west towards Liberty Drive, so we'll have something else in this basin, and then the east basin will drain towards the southeast part of the site. Okay.
Okay, oh, you've got it up now. So what are the, is it a car dealership or a
It'll be an auto complex.
auto
So-
complex? What does that mean?
So I
there will
can-
be cars. Yes, the
Yeah.
planner.
You
Oh,
want me to
what?
speak? Okay. So on this page that you have here, Kelsey, those two long buildings are proposed new buildings that would be storing, sort of like commercial storage for general contractors. And then, the remaining site with the large parking lot and the two other buildings, that would be for auto sales. And that has been previously approved as a development plan. If you drive by there, the site has been substantially graded. And
Yeah.
there were some issues with stabilization for a while, but I believe that's been resolved. And it's just sitting until this development plan or this outline plan to get the added use is approved. Another thing I want to bring to the attention of the Drainage Board is if you scroll up to page 88, it's a little bit clearer to see.
Yep.
There is a storm sewer access easement. Your mouse is over it. Actually to the south, there's an existing one. And then there's like a double dotted line just below that easement where it says DR 357, page 211. Yeah, so there's an easement, but it doesn't capture an existing pipe. So their proposal is that they would like to accommodate the two larger buildings. They're working with CBU to see if they could move that pipe. And they want to potentially vacate that easement and move it to the north and still have us have access to the detention on the east side. And that would be to my understanding, the county's only access to that pond would be if it moved to the north, and it would be to a paved driveway.
And it would align with their driveway, yeah.
It would, yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
which would be almost an improvement.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
We can get to the pond much easier. if we
Yeah,
develop this.
And it looks like they have detention to the south, additional one.
Yeah, so all the runoff from this site, they're gonna capture in their own ponds. Meeting the critical release rate, so they'll be sized
This treat.
appropriately.
Treat, yeah.
Water quality treatment. And I will, once we do more detailed plan review, I can require additional BMPs on site. If it looks like a post-construction land use, potential pollutants would warrant that, so. Permanent filters in your inlets or things like that that we can put in to capture oils and stuff. Mhm.
They cleared that site, one of them.
Oh, this thing cleared for,
Has it?
for years.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
could never figure out what was going on.
Well, I mean, it looks like fresh dirt there.
Yeah,
So it looks like they've done a little bit on there. And I'm seeing it as two parcels. For some reason, I always thought this was one parcel, but
yeah.
It is two, and they'll do an amendment to those parcels to make sure the long buildings are separate from the auto sales.
So, so those are, you said commercial storage, so I'm assuming semis can go back in and back into these or large trucks? Maybe not semis.
Yeah, there'll be two access points for this, so to the north on that flagpole lot, and then where the mouse is will also come out on the street. So the goal is to not have them do like a 3-point turn, they'll be able to kind of loop around.
Oh, so there's a drive on the north side that goes back out to Liberty? That's
Yeah,
where
so
the
we can do a
easement
new
is.
drive.
They're
Yeah.
building a new drive. Yeah, there's not one there now, right? And that's Merwick to the south, is it?
Earwax, yeah, that's the name of the plat. Right,
Yeah.
So that drainage, they're proposing to put the drainage under the new drive? Is that the idea?
no, they're gonna leave this existing pipe in place, the driveway is up here.
Okay.
They're gonna be replacing this section where they have the warehouses
Yeah, it's
proposed.
like a moving.
I think that Jackie misstated, it would, they were gonna CBU on the sanitary. Relocating, I think, was supposed to be here, relocating that, but this is what they're showing for the storm. Relocation is adding, is a manhole here, and they're just gonna be redirecting it around their warehouses
Yeah,
to the pond.
pushing it north. like it's-
So,
yeah.
my question is, who-
36 foot wide easement.
Mhm.
That's helpful.
My question is, who is responsible for the storm infrastructure through their property? Typically, even if it's in an easement, if on private property, we would ask the private property owner to maintain it. It is draining, it's draining Liberty Drive, but it's also capturing, the west half of their site through their property to the county pond.
Yeah.
Private property owner is responsible for maintenance of this pipe. That's what I'm moving towards. Okay, I wanted to clarify that, so there's no question moving forward. Okay. So I'm looking for preliminary drainage plan approval. They've submitted a full drainage plan to me, so once I have your approval, I'll go ahead and submit it to Carrie Daly to review.
Don't have any questions myself.
Move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, and we'll go through Ginger.
Aye.
Bill? Yes.
Okay,
Jim? Aye. Audio, aye.
great.
Iris.
I have.
This was the last one.
I know that.
Thank you, everyone. This is Daniel. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for coming, Daniel. Thanks for coming, Bill. And I bet planning's heading out too. Thanks for coming, planning.
Well, we have one more thing from planning.
Oh, we do.
And it's, I know, if you, I think I need to have like a ordinance work session, honestly, because these meetings are getting long.
Pushing it off. yeah, right.
I know. This one is specific to chapter 825, the eco zone regulations. And so planning department has provided comments in this document specifically for the drainage board. This ordinance was first passed in 96 or 7. And it needs to be updated, which thankfully Jackie and Tammy have spent quite a bit of time looking at it and trying to get some common sense revisions. Some of the things in this original ordinance have been taken under chapter 761. So for example, like construction, monitoring, post-construction, requirements, just general drainage design, which is gonna be a pretty easy fix for us. There's some specific things in here regarding soils and geology. So, I will turn it over to Jackie to present her specific questions as I try to find the geology questions.
Yeah, I think just starting on this page first, Kelsey, if you scroll up just a little bit. One thing we would like to know from the drainage board perspective is on page 100, the current way that we measure riparian areas for no disturbance is based on the USGS map. And so we were wondering if there's a better map to determine those riparian areas and possibly do that county-wide. So that would be a pretty big change. And we're not sure if 100 feet is adequate or, you know, whether there could be a standard that shifts depending on the geographic area. So that's question number one, is looking at riparian area mapping data that we could go off of and what that protection distance should be. A little bit below that, so on page 101, we have some information about, yeah, I think the karst is pretty straightforward, but we're having some references in our ordinance regarding soils, and we're not able to find exact references outside of this to determine where we need to state what's non-buildable. So if there's people with some soil background in the group that would be able to help us to determine, is it important to restrict development based on soil types, or is there like a way to easily visualize, and is it important for us to somehow restrict or regulate further development on certain soil types? So that's one of the questions. And then on page 102, we have a map of an area that's very small, but we're supposed to be looking at this map, and we're hoping to maybe coordinate like another overlay map. This is saying that New Providence Shale, the lowest formation in the Bourne Group, should not be developable, and that area is the LC that you see on the screen just north of the Ramp Creek, I think is what was determined to be the only non-buildable area that qualifies under that rock formation.
The limestone residuum or siltstone bedrock is the teal LC on this map.
And then moving down just to page 104, I'm going quickly because I know this has been a long meeting for you guys and we'll probably follow up again. There was this old language in our ordinance about a detention basin location waiver, and we're just wanting some ideas from you. I think we would just propose removing this out of this ordinance and leaving that up to you guys completely, because we don't really want to be in charge of reviewing adequacy of detention basins in the eco. That seems more of your jurisdiction.
So I think this is referring to, I think we had some subdivisions where they basically dammed up the headwaters of the ravine. And they have these really steep slopes going down into these retention ponds. And I think that's what that's referring to. So not sure that's great for the health of the headwaters to, put a dam in there, but it does take that detention, so that you can develop more of the ridge tops and have the detention downhill in the ravines.
Oh, I see.
And I think a larger question that Kelsey had brought up was, is there a need to understand the total capacity of the lakes? And, if they get beyond a certain capacity or level of stormwater fill, do we need to start
Yeah.
restricting development or, what have you, so.
And that had come up in a meeting here previously.
That's in Lake Monroe.
Lake Monroe. I did ask the Corps of Engineers, and they said that they don't have any type of study like that for how much development the lake's watershed can handle. And doesn't seem like they're interested in finding that out. So, so it's basically up to us as the governing agency, Monroe County, to restrict development in the watershed. Without knowing what the lake can exactly handle from, flood control capacity.
How much they're releasing at that time too, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, its study really hasn't been done.
How much sediment is getting into the reservoir right
A
now?
lot,
Yeah, I wonder what.
always.
So it's reducing capacity.
I think my main priority is water quality, so sediment capture is
Yeah.
definitely priority.
Like they took down all those trees and that.
I guess I have a question for you, Kelsey, as
Yes.
far as what they're proposing here, is that, what's your thought or take on it?
Yeah, I think this is something we can manage in chapter 761 for specifically. For the other things, for the riparian buffers and soil restrictions, I think we can dig into soils database and try and pull out those soil types that we want to restrict and create, as long as it's easily accessible by the public. I think the main fear is that you shouldn't have to have an engineer to determine
Right.
where you can put your shed or, some things like that.
Yeah, residential.
Yeah, web soil survey is super
It
accessible.
is, it is, yeah, and I think we could figure out that outside of this meeting.
Mhm.
Okay.
But
So my questions be answered today, but homework for us.
I think I would, yes, so their timeline for this, I think, Jackie, when we were hoping to have this module presented to the plan commission.
Oh, we're under attorney to watch this.
We're hoping to get this the overlays out in the next a very short time period, but there would still be time to review like an amendment to this. So I would say by May or June, we'd really be wanting to solidify this.
Okay.
Okay.
So I would like comments from you all if you have them to me before our May meeting.
Okay.
If that's doable.
Yes.
Yeah, it was on my agenda to get what we'd already talked about.
Yeah.
And just so you know, I have we are in the works of creating a consolidated map for this area, including
Okay.
the quad.
Yeah.
So at the end of September, I should have a shape file. that we can
Okay.
Share, so.
Cool.
I'm not.
Shape file and live service.
For unconsolidated, I'm sorry, what did you ask?
Oh, nothing, we'll talk about it later. If it's,
I don't know. if it's
Main
shape
thing.
file, it's actually rest service. probably.
if it's a ref service, then that's great, then that means that as it's updated, we're having
Yeah.
updated data.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I think. it's
I'll work on the scene.
I'm still
on
talking
behind the
old
scenes.
school GIS, right?
Well, it's just
Okay.
great being able to have that
Yeah.
live maintained data.
All right,
Should be good, so I'll get back to you guys.
Okay.
thank
Well,
you.
thank you. Anything else? We can adjourn.
I'll be in
Comments?
touch.
I move we adjourn.
Okay.
Solid favor. Aye. Hey. Yeah.
I can actually catch the geologist really quick. Could you tell me what the New Providence shale would be? So what was specifically called out on this map?
Yeah, it's part of the, it's not part of the West Bay, but it's part of the,
Was it the Borden formation?
I don't know if it's part of the work, it's what's.
Well, there's a question
Standard.
for us. We'll look at what formation it belongs to.
Okay.
But
and
we're
I do
officially adjourned, right?
Yes, we are.
TSD could shut us down.
Okay, yes.
I was
Okay, thank you, TSD.